So the Cincinnati Bengals have not really had the start that I think Bengals fans thought they would have, the rest of the NFL thought they would have. They're currently sitting at 1-3, one of the worst teams in the NFL. And clearly, most of us know that the big issue here is Joe Burrow, and it's his calf injury. The injury he suffered in August has really made him a completely different quarterback. He looks like a completely different guy out there. The Bengals aren't able to do what they've done the past couple seasons, being one of the best scoring offenses in the NFL. And if we take a look at some stats from Burrow, sort of how he has declined from last season to this season, greatly due to that calf injury. Last year, his completion percentage over expected was 3.1%, which was third best in the NFL. You look at this season, -6%, 34th in the NFL. So he's not as accurate as he was last year. Clearly, when you have that calf injury, if you watch some of those Burrow plays, his footwork isn't the same. He's not able to plant on the leg the same. And so, of course, it's very negatively affecting him. It's not like it's just making him a slightly worse quarterback. It's making him a terrible quarterback, which it's unfortunate because obviously when he's healthy, he's one of the best. And they gave him that huge contract this offseason because of that. Another thing to look at, he's not pushing the ball down the field as he typically does. So far this season, if you look at average air yards per completion per NFL Next Gen Stats, he's at 3.3 yards, which is second worst in the NFL. So he is not pushing the ball down the field, which is something obviously with, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, the Bengals typically do, not doing it. And then you throw on top of that the fact that this offensive line has been playing very poorly. They're 31st in ESPN's pass block win rate. They're 27th in run block win rate. And if we look at last game against the Titans, according to Seth Walder, the Bengals had a 22% pass block win rate. And if you look at the average in the NFL right now, it's 56%. So this offensive line is not helping Joe Burrow out in any way. And because he's much more immobile, typically pretty good at escaping the pocket, maneuvering around. He's no Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, but he can still move his way around the pocket. But because of that calf injury, he has no mobility. So when this offensive line breaks down, he can't escape sacks. He can't, move up in the pocket as he has in the past. And so all in all, this has just led to the Bengals offense being one of the worst in the NFL 4 weeks into the season. And I think if you were Zach Taylor, the head coach, if you could look back in hindsight and see the start that the Bengals would have, 1-3, he's probably saying to himself, man, maybe I should have just sat Burrow 3 or 4 weeks because odds are we probably have about the same record and Burrow would be healthy right now. But I get the decision when the season starts. Burrow probably says, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. He gives it a try. And I just think that with Burrow playing the way he is now, I think the wisest move going forward for the Bengals is to rest Joe Burrow. Rest Joe Burrow the next few weeks. Give him some time to get back to that former self because you've seen what happens when he's playing out there on a bum calf. It just is not going well. And right now it doesn't sound like the Bengals are moving in that direction. Zach Taylor did say earlier this week the plan is to play Joe Burrow next week against the Arizona Cardinals. So they're going to keep trying this. They're in a pretty tough hole right now, currently sitting at 1-3, one of the worst teams in the NFL. And I think if you just look at their schedule, the fact that, they have a bye in about 3 weeks, they have 2 more games before the bye, 1 game against the Cardinals, and then 1 game against the Seahawks. And honestly, I think that if you rest Burrow the next 2 weeks, you give him the bye, that gives him 29 days to rest and recover from this past game to the game at the end of October. And of course, you could lose the next 2 games, be sitting at 1-5 in an even worse position. But I think if you put Burrow out there anyways, and he keeps playing as he has, you're going to lose anyways. Burrow's going to continue to play on that calf that is injured. And, the odds of him being able to fully get back to his former self are probably much lower. Where if you rest him the next few games, give him the bye week, maybe Burrow returns, his calf is fully healed, and we can sort of see the Bengals offense we've seen for years and years, the past couple seasons, being one of the best offenses in the NFL. And I think that at least gives them a chance to, come from behind, get in a winning streak, and try to maybe be a wild card team. Because right now it's not working. Joe Burrow on his bum calf, it's not getting the job done. And the unfortunate thing for the Bengals is they don't really have many options at the backup quarterback position. Their current backup is Jake Browning, who's thrown 1 career NFL pass. So they're in a tough decision, deciding, do we start an unhealthy Burrow or put in a guy who has no experience? Both aren't really good scenarios to really be in, and that's just the reality of pretty much every team in the NFL. Any team that has a top-tier elite quarterback, if that guy goes down, the odds of you being the same team or even, 80% of the team you were just aren't very high, and it's especially true for the Bengals just because of the way this team is built. If you look at their offense last season, they were 7th. They had the 7th most pass yards in the NFL, the 31st most rush yards per game, And so if the Bengals had some kind of elite running game, maybe that can take the pressure off Burrow. But because they don't, it's just in the past, everything's been on Burrow's shoulders. And when he's not playing good and you don't have a great rushing attack, there's just not many answers there. And then you throw in the fact that this defense is not playing as they were last season. If we look at last year, they were the 6th best scoring defense in the NFL, and now they're currently sitting as the 18th ranked scoring defense in the NFL. So when you have the defense not playing as well, when you have Joe Burrow playing like he has, the offense not really able to do anything, you get what you get here. Just a complete change of what you usually expect from this kind of Bengals team. And so that's why I think you got to let Burrow rest, let him be healthy. Hopefully he can heal himself in the next few weeks. But right now it doesn't seem like the Bengals are going to try to do that. They're going to try to continue to play Burrow. And I just don't know if that's the best decision. You look at the Cardinals, even though they haven't been amazing, they're a pretty, scrappy team that can win games. And I think that they may win next week. I mean, if the offense plays as they have, I could see the Cardinals winning the next game and the Seahawks winning the next game as well. So I say rest Burrow. May not happen. I think that's the best decision going forward for the Bengals to make. And it would be crazy if we get, midway through the season, near the end of the year, the Bengals can keep this up. They'll go from being one of the best teams in the league, almost making a Super Bowl, to being one of the worst in the league. And that's just what happens when your star quarterback suffers an injury. The Jets suffered that as well with Aaron Rodgers going down, having to settle with Zach Wilson. So there's not many very great options right now for the Bengals. That is all I have for this one. If you want more NFL content like this, feel free to subscribe down below.